The world of content creation can be very go, go, go sometimes, and it's often about capturing specific moments. The good, the bad if you're willing to share, and what I do is so niche, working with animals. Death is part of life, but sometimes that death is untimely, and not 10 minutes ago, I discovered something very tragic. This video is being filmed a day after filming the last video you would have seen, which is me feeding all my snakes. And I'm very sad to share with you all today that Inferno has passed away. I feel very vulnerable sharing this because I know 100% that this is my fault. You guys know me. If you've been watching the channel for a long time, you know that transparency and honesty are really important pillars. I know that many of you have experienced loss. Many of you will experience loss because it's part of life. We take care of our pets and eventually they will pass away and we will even pass away one day. So life is precious, but I don't want to give the illusion that I'm infallible. I'm a hobbyist just like any of you, and unfortunately I have to admit that the great power I wield in having such a platform means that I have this immense responsibility, just like Spider-Man says. It's a quote I really love, in delivering the best content I can and then making sure that you're all aware of the best practices and constantly working on myself to improve that and what I share. So today I'm here to be fully transparent that sometimes we make mistakes, and yeah, I went into the reptile room, like I said, I guess 15 minutes ago now, and I found him. He looked like he had been wreathing around, struggling with the rodent that I fed him. Listen, I've offered him feeders that size. This one might have been a little bit bigger than usual. Normally I do fuzzy size, but this is kind of a big fuzzy that you saw in that video. And to be fair, I did notice he was kind of taking a while to swallow it. I probably should have intervened at that point, which wouldn't have been easy, but I should have. Garter snakes aren't necessarily meant to eat prey that's much wider than they are. However, if you've been a kid outside playing in the summer, you've probably come across one swallowing an enormous toad. He's a full-grown male, and I didn't think that a fuzzy mouse would be that big of a challenge. So unless something else was going on that I didn't know about, there might have been a few millimeters girth around it. I found him just laying lifeless sideways in the front of the terrarium. Sorry, I'm looking at him right now. He's laying on my counter, right, or my desk right now. Yeah, this sucks, losing a pet. It happens once in a while, but especially when it's untimely and preventable, it's the worst thing in the world. So today I kind of want to address a few losses I've experienced in the reptile room that I haven't addressed. This isn't like a confessions thing, but I think just kind of, I don't know. I didn't really share some of these things, and I think a lot of them weren't at all something that I could have done anything about, but that I want to be able to just share with you so that maybe it's a sense of comfort for those of you that have also experienced loss, or maybe it's just me being accountable and wanting to share it with you. But we'll firstly just fully address Infernal's passing. I can't emphasize enough now, having seen what happened, that you just don't offer garter snakes anything that is wider than their body. Just don't risk it. Don't bother. Don't let that happen to your pet. I would do anything right now to go back to yesterday and have offered him an earthworm instead of a mouse. But I can't. Yeah, this sucks. I mean, that snake was really special to me. Literally had him just about a year now. I was really looking forward to housing him with Sylvanite and pairing them at some point, and I guess we're not gonna do that. But yeah, please, just don't risk it. I see so many videos where people feed adult mice to their garter snakes. And I mean, sure, you follow what you see other people do and it works for people, but there are big risks inherently present. And I'm living proof that doing that might not end well. And so the least I can do is risk criticism here in hopes that any of you that keep garter snakes will make sure that's not going to happen to your animals. I also want to be really clear. Garter snakes should not be eating rodents often, and this guy barely eats them. Did everything to make sure that I was keeping him right. I even put him on a diet. I cut rodents out of his diet completely. I was feeding him all the right things and reducing his feeding, but once in a while isn't gonna hurt. And so it had literally been maybe 8 months since he ate any kind of rodent. And I figured, sure, coming out of brumation, let's treat this guy, right? Maybe that's why. Maybe it was too big of a meal to start. But again, I don't know. All I'm trying to say is maybe I'm trying to make excuses in my mind. It didn't seem dangerous. And now I know. Yeah, I'm never doing that again. You know, Sylvan Knight's over there. I immediately checked on her. I got scared. Even though we just gave her 2 earthworms. She's fine. She's slithering around. But I'm never risking her the way that just happened. So the second thing I want to address is, since we're going at this now, is my Crusiohyla craspidopus, the fringe leaf frogs. You probably noticed that I have 1 frog when I started off with 4. Unfortunately, many of my froglets passed away from prolapses. Now this is still a big mystery. I did everything I could. I took fecals to Dr. Brown. I tried to measure temperatures. I tried switching food, all these different things. All these different things, and one by one they all got a prolapse, and we tried putting them back in with a special medical lubricant, and the frogs would just not make it. Strangely enough though, quite a few of my friends were experiencing the same thing at the same life stage. So there are all these theories in the Canadian community having sourced those frogs from the same place. It could have been weak genetics, all these different things. I'm not really buying it. Still, I have no idea what happened. And then my little guy there, who you see in all my feeding videos, is just the one animal that survived through all that chaos. At one point I thought it was stress from temperatures potentially being too high in the summer. I don't think so, because again, he was fine and it was so random. It'd be like weeks between each frog getting sick and having a prolapse. And then once the prolapse was there, you just knew the frog was going to be deceased within a few days. It was awful, especially having raised those frogs from tadpoles. And you know, you have this like beautiful process where you're raising this little thing into a frog, and it's a frog for several months and then just passes away from something so dramatic and awful to see. You don't want any of your pets to suffer, but it's awful to see that. Anywho, that was a while ago. Thankfully, I'm kind of over it now, but definitely was discouraging. At one point, I thought I'd just rehome him because I was scared it happened, but I was like, no, you know, I'm committed to this pet. I raised him. I'm going to do my best to make sure he's going to live a good life, and knock on wood, thank goodness, he's thriving. He's doing really well. But yeah, that's the honest, open truth about what happened with my Crusiohyla craspidopus. And then lastly, what I wanted to share with you all was pertaining to my centipedes. Many of you know that quite some time ago, I worked with Scolopendra gigantea whitelegs. It's a Peruvian centipede. As far as I know, the Latin name hasn't changed. And those animals were so interesting to keep, and I love that they were a lot calmer than the Vietnamese, like the Scolopendra subspinipes. And I could do a lot of educational stuff and show people how interesting those animals were because they were so much less defensive. But unfortunately, all of them were wild caught, and all of them presented levels of mycosis, which is a fungal infection that they can get on their bodies, because I think that they were originally being kept a lot more wet than they would be in their native environment, which leads to the fungal infection. And from there, I talked to so many centipede keepers. Hey, what do I need to do? Like, are they gonna molt out of this? How do I treat this? Do I put a fungal cream on them? What? And most people didn't know. A few people that were experts said to keep them super dry to prevent the it looks like black little bits, and it'll make their joints or their limbs fall off over time, and it spreads across the body. It's awful. They suggested keep things as dry as possible, just offer water on one side, and I did this. And even one centipede molted and there was still mycosis on its body, which is just heartbreaking. And the other one, it just spread. The antennae started coming off. The hollow legs and the head of the animal started getting the mycosis. Like, it was, thinking about it is honestly just terrible. It makes me feel, not emotional, but just, it was really rough. You don't want to see any of your animals suffer, right? So I'm just giving you the honest truth. I tried them twice. I got 2 back in Vancouver. They both succumbed to mycosis over 6 months or so. Both presented it upon arrival. And then when I moved to Ontario, I ordered 2 more to try again. Both had mycosis. Both succumbed to mycosis over time. And that's when I said, I'm done. I need to stop keeping these or getting these. It's not sustainable. I can't treat this mycosis for whatever reason. And if I ever want to do those centipedes again, I'll go with something that can handle more humidity so that I know that the mycosis isn't a risk. That's it, guys. Other than that, here and there, things happen. I make mistakes. I'm not perfect. I want to share with you that even though I have a camera, even though I have all of you watching, all 200 and something thousand people of you watching, doesn't give me the credibility to be an expert. I like to think that over the years I've learned so much and I do my best to convey good information, but I'm a hobbyist just like you. I have the strong passion and love for the animals and I want to be able to share it. But I make mistakes too, and I have to be accountable on this platform. So I'm so sorry. I'm sure a lot of you really love this snake. Sometimes the lessons we learn are the hardest way, and they stick. You're not gonna make a mistake like that twice, right? But yeah, I just wanted to be open with you all, and I hope you can appreciate that. And I'm so sorry to disappoint you if I have. Yeah, thanks. It's kind of a weird video, but I hope there was some value in that for you. Take care, guys. See you on Friday. It'll be a lot more positive, I hope. Bye.